let's talk about some weird ways that I've made money as a visual artist. I've been an artist since I was very, very young. I have made money as an artist sporadically through my life. So I wanted to share some really strange, different ways that I've made money throughout my art career. And if you are looking to maybe mix it up and try something new, hopefully this will give you some inspiration. Or if you haven't started making money at all and are looking for some different tips, then here are some different ways that I have made money as an artist. The first time I remember making money as an artist was in middle school. I got commissioned to do a pet portrait for a family friend whose dog had passed away. I think pet portraits are a great way to make some money because for me, at least, animals are my favorite subject matter. I love drawing and painting animals. So this was like a super easy, basic thing for me. I still do pet portraits here and there. They're easy to market because they pull on the heartstrings a little bit. Anybody who has been close with an animal and has lost them knows that it might be pretty cool to have a pet portrait hanging on your wall, especially if it's done in like an artsy, cool way. And so I did this pet portrait for some friends. I mean, I was in middle school and they paid me $100 to do it. And so as a middle schooler, you know, I thought that was crazy money, but even still, that's not bad money depending on how much time and effort it takes you. If you were able to do, you know, a couple pet portraits a week or something, you could pull in a few $100. Obviously now I would charge more than $100, but if you're starting out, $100 for a small pet portrait is pretty fair. So now I would charge, oh, you pulled my thingy off. Pet portraits are great because they make really good gifts. And so oftentimes you'll get commissioned, not necessarily by the pet owner, but by a family or friend who wants to give it as a gift. I just did a pet portrait, I think, 2 years ago for a Christmas present. So that's a really fun one if you enjoy doing animals. Now, my next one is exclusive to traditional art painters, but in college, I did my first couple murals and that was super fun. I was working at a little cafe down in San Diego and my boss knew that I did art and she wanted to kind of spruce things up in the cafe and commissioned me to do a full wall mural on the back wall of the shop. That was really fun, really high, like intense stakes for me because, you know, her customers were going to be seeing this every day and so I wanted it to be beautiful. It was my first mural and so as an amateur, I freehanded the whole thing. Now, I'm sure there are artists out there who can freehand a whole mural and it's gorgeous, but it had been a while since I had done any art. And so I really wish that I had prepped more for that mural and planned it out and put a little bit more thought into the design. But she was ultimately happy with it and a lot of the customers said a lot of good things about it. And so that was really, really fun. And it was also kind of fun and liberating just to do something freehand, especially on such a big canvas on this huge wall. So that actually led to a couple other murals because she had a friend who owned a massage business and I did a mural in her massage shop. Now, as I said, I had learned from that. So I actually sketched it out, had her approve the sketch before we moved forward, and then I put that on a projector, projected that onto the wall, traced over my own sketch through the projector, and then did the rest of the painting. Just a little tip for you, if you've never done a mural before, a projector is like so handy. You can get like a really small one for a couple $100 and save so much time if you're not interested in freehanding something. I personally loved doing murals, and I think that I would totally do some more if anybody asked. You could do an entire business just doing artwork for businesses because, you know, people want their logos painted on the wall or, you know, a buddy of mine, his dad ran a jiu-jitsu place and he passed away, so they did this big, beautiful mural of his dad in the studio. So there's all kinds of work for actual businesses to be done. And it's something that I would definitely love to do some more of. Doing the mural in the shop that I was working at the time actually led to my next gig, which was teaching at paint and sip classes. We had a regular customer who ran a sip and paint business. And when she saw my mural, she got so excited. And we already liked each other just from me serving her at the restaurant. And so she asked me to come on as one of the instructors at the paint and sip class. Now, I don't mean to talk poorly about this. I did make money. It was a good job. I thought my boss was really cool. But this is just not for everybody. I learned, one, I'm not very good at teaching art. That is kind of a challenge for me to actually like vocalize how to do certain things. And then two, paint and sip classes are less about the art and more about the experience. And so it's really helpful if you can entertain and tell jokes while teaching and, you know, kind of be laid back. And I just found that I wasn't super great at that. I wasn't very comfortable with it. And so that lasted about 6 months before I ended up leaving. But, you know, it was a part-time job and I made some pretty decent money at it. The next thing I did was I did illustrations for a friend's poetry book. This was really fun because the concept was really simple. He just wanted like sketches as if, you know, they were doodles in a notebook or something like that. And so that made it fairly easy to produce and really fun. So I did an individual sketch kind of for each poem, and he recycled those for the cover and the back. And that was a really simple project. I'm also currently doing the art design for a book cover and included all the little like chapter icons. You know how there's like art above the chapter title sometimes? I'm also doing individual little designs for that. So that's also for a friend of mine and is a super fun project. Here's some of these little doodle illustrations that I did in this poetry book. Really simple, just pen drawings that at the time I scanned in. I didn't even have an iPad yet. And so it was just to add like a little flair to each page. Nothing special. But that was kind of my first time doing something commissioned for a book, which was a really, really good time. The next thing I did, I actually started during COVID, and it was just out of boredom that I wanted to paint one day. And I've always wanted something cool on the back of this jean jacket, this patch jacket that I have. It's collected patches from, you know, different events and things and pins from some of my favorite movies and events and festivals and things. Well, I just sat down one day and I cranked out this on the back, which I still love and I'm still super proud of. And I sealed it with like a matte finish so that it's weather safe and weather tight. And I posted about it. And then I started doing a few more, and I would go to like Goodwill and thrift shops and find some jean jackets for cheap, and I started painting on the back. Here's another one that I did for myself. It's like a Shining tribute jacket, if you've seen The Shining. It's got cool little elements from the movie. And this one is just for me because I love that movie. So I break this bad boy out usually in October, or I just wore it to a music festival. Now, this really took off. I just started sharing it on my Instagram and I started getting commissions like crazy because it's kind of this cool, unique thing, right? To have like a custom painted jean jacket. It was amazing for the time in my life when I discovered this and when I started doing this. At the time, I had just graduated college. I had no money. It was a really cool way to work. Also, COVID had hit and I was super bored. I had nothing else to do. I wasn't working because I typically work in the film industry. Film was at a complete standstill. And so it was a really wonderful way that I was able to make a little bit of money. One of the other cool things is that I connected with a shop through a family friend, and she owns this boutique down in New Mexico, and she discovered the jackets and started commissioning me 2 or 3 jackets every month because I would ship them down to her shop and she would actually sell them in the shop. So that was this really cool partnership. We did that for a long time, like 6 months or something like that, where she was commissioning every single month, and I made some pretty decent money through that relationship. This is what is hard about this, is that, again, at the time, just freshly out of college, I would have taken anything. Like any money, any amount of money was good money for me, and it still is. However, I reached this sort of threshold where the amount of time that it took was no longer worth the amount of money that I could make from it. Because on average, and it kind of was a little bit under, a little bit over, on average, I would sell these jackets for $350, which a $350 jacket is an expensive jacket, but a $350 custom piece of art is a little bit on the cheaper side. I mean, like, I know that everybody has, you know, different prices and are all over the board, but I was spending so much time on these jackets that I got to a place of extreme burnout, doing 3 or 4 commission jackets a month. I was working around the clock for, you know, if you do the math, if I was selling 3 jackets, that was just around $1,000 a month. Which, you know, if that's extra money is great. It's great to make an extra $1,000, but with the amount of time that it took me to do the jackets, because I'm doing a full piece of art, you know, it wasn't just like a name. Oh my gosh, my baby is freaking out right now. Because I'm doing like a full piece of art, doing a full painting on the back, it would take me weeks sometimes just to do one jacket. And so I kind of reached this point where I was working around the clock for roughly $1,000 a month, and it just was no longer worth it, and I got really burned out. Now, I still do jackets here and there every once in a while when people ask for them. It's a great way to make a little bit of extra money, but I no longer had the capacity with how much work I was doing elsewhere, and then obviously becoming a mom and all these other factors. I could no longer keep doing that consistently. But you know, it's something cool, especially if you're just starting out and if you don't have other responsibilities or you're working part-time or that kind of thing. Or if you know people that are willing to pay more money, like great. I think that if I was in, you know, New York or LA and I could tap into that market, I could probably find higher paying clientele. But I found that I just could never reach over that $350, $400 area. But yeah, there's, I mean, obviously cool, weird ways that you can do some custom art, some artwork, whether it be jackets. I know a lot of people have like painted shoes like Converse, because Converse are basically made out of like canvasy material. And so you can paint really easily on Converse, and people have done commissions for that kind of thing, or other clothing things. I also recently started making a little bit of money from my Etsy shop. I set up a print-on-demand Etsy shop through Printify, where I uploaded my illustrations and my artwork into Printify and created some different products out of my illustrations, and I've made a few sales from that. I also uploaded to Society6, which is its own print-on-demand shop. I buy a lot of my phone cases from Society6, and so I uploaded some of my art on there, and I've made a little bit of money. I definitely make more from Printify than I make from Society6. I don't tailor my illustrations to be products. I don't feel like a lot of my illustrations make the best, you know, t-shirts or that kind of thing. I could definitely work on some designs in the future that are tailored to be, you know, apparel or on like a birthday card or that kind of thing, or a phone case or something like that. I just haven't really had the time to think of designs to do that. Some other cool, interesting ways that you could make money as an artist that I haven't tried yet, but I really would like to try. I don't know if every city does this. Maybe this is exclusive to my town, but every like power box on city street corners and stuff, they do like a art wrap on the box. And so I know the city periodically does like a contest to get your art on one of those boxes. They pay like $1,000 to have you do a piece of art. So $1,000 for one piece of art is really cool. The downside being it is like a contest, and so if they don't choose you, then you have now created a piece of art that you're not going to get paid for. But if you have the time and the resources, then it's certainly something really cool, like a really cool opportunity. And then it's public art, and you know, if you sign it or you put like your little handle on it, it could lead to some more work or that kind of thing. I really wanted to do that. This year they opened the contest for submissions, but I was really busy at the time and I didn't have the brain capacity to think about a cool piece of art, and so I wasn't able to submit. But I would really like to do it in the future if the opportunity arises. The other cool thing through our city, and again, this is like place by place, is that they were hiring an artist. I think it was $500. Again, it was a contest situation to design a poster for the Saturday market. And so they wanted like a unique, cool piece of art to put on the Saturday market poster that they put all over town all summer long, and commission a local artist to do that. So I thought that was a really cool thing. And again, it was just one of those things. I think I found the contest literally the day after submissions were due. And so that kind of thing is hard. If you don't have the time or the bandwidth or, you know, a good idea in time, then you miss out on the opportunity. But in the future, I'm keeping an eye out for it, and I hope I can plan on it, because those are just some really fun opportunities, and it's a good chance to get your art out into the public more. Like, that's being seen by a bunch of people, and who knows if that's going to lead to more commissioned artwork in the future. I have a monster coming after me. I hope that maybe you took some inspiration from it, that there's so many different opportunities to make money as an artist and to get your art out there. If you found this video helpful, please hit subscribe, hit like. Let me know down in the comments some of the weird ways that you've made money as an artist, or if you've done any of the ways that I talked about today. And thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Haley, and I will see you in the next video.